Pursuant to notice, I now call up H.R. 5079, the Widespread Information Management for the Welfare of Infrastructure and Government Act. The bill was circulated in advance and printed copies are available. The clerk shall designate the bill.
H.R. 5079, offered by Chairman Garbarino.
Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with and is considered read and open to amendment at any point. I now recognize myself for the purpose of offering an amendment in the nature as a substitute. The clerk will report the amendment in the nature of the substitute.
An amendment in the nature of a substitute to H.R. 5079.
Without objection, the reading is dispensed with, and the amendment in the nature of the substitute shall be considered base text for the purpose of further amendment. I recognize myself to speak on the amendment. The Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015 changed the cybersecurity landscape forever and for the better. This vital authority created a privacy-protecting framework for real-time cyber threat information sharing. Indeed, the protections CISA 2015 provides to the private sector have encouraged proactive information sharing to get ahead of cyber threats. It also improved the collaboration of our public and private sectors, leading to a more comprehensive threat picture. As a bedrock of cybersecurity ecosystem, a lapse in CISA 2015 would significantly slow down or even halt the information sharing of our cyber defenders that they depend on. We cannot let this happen, which is something we heard Secretary Noem talk about last time she was in front of this committee. That's why we are kicking off our first markup with this bill, the Widespread Information Management of the Welfare of Infrastructure and Government Act, WIMWIG, the reauthorization bill for CISA 2015, which was co-sponsored by Representative McCall. Representative McCall, I want to thank you personally for your leadership on this bill 10 years ago and for your continued commitment to improving our nation's cybersecurity posture. I would also like to thank Brian Bonacci, Chief of Staff for CISA, as well as DHS's Legislative Affairs team for attending today's hearing. We appreciate the continued support DHS and CISA, the agency, have provided for this reauthorization, beginning with Secretary Noem's statement in support earlier this year. We look forward to working with you and other agencies in the Trump administration to get this reauthorization to the finish line. Finally, I would like to thank the more than 20 stakeholders who have offered statements of support for this bill so far. I'd like to submit them all for the record. Your partnership among the countless others who helped us produce this bill is imperative to our success. We recognize that today is only the first step. We are committed to working with our colleagues in the House and in the Senate to ensure the reauthorization remains relevant and effective for the next 10 years. The WIMWIG Act captures an array of industry feedback that we have heard all over the course of this bill. It changes the name CISA 2015 to WIMWIG to ensure there is no confusion between CISA, the agency, and this bill. Updates definitions to capture new tactics and attack surfaces. It encourages the use of secure artificial intelligence to share information and improve technical capabilities. It improves actionable bidirectional information sharing between the public and private sector. It improves accountability for DHS's technical capability required by CISA 2015, and it extends the authorization for 10 more years. Importantly, it preserves existing privacy protections. America faces a rapidly evolving cyber threat landscape with nation-state actors and criminals growing increasingly sophisticated by the day. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on the WIMWIG Act to sustain the trust built among the cybersecurity ecosystem and to strengthen our cybersecurity posture. Does anyone else wish to speak on the amendment? A gentleman from Mississippi is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I mentioned in my opening statement, I appreciate your commitment to extending the important authorities provided by the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015. Like you, I'm committed to ensuring that CISA 2015 does not lapse. I've made that clear in every public statement I've made on the subject all year. While I appreciate the committee is taking an important step forward in the reauthorization process with today's markup, I'd be remiss if I did not put on the record my concerns with the process and my expectations about how this and future bills will be worked moving forward. We have known for 10 years that CISA 2015 would expire on September 30th. Unfortunately, the committee did not begin the reauthorization process in earnest until this summer. Moreover, the truncated vetting process limited the opportunities to solicit feedback from a broad range of stakeholders. Indeed, the text of what we are considering today was made public for the first time only 48 hours ago. As a result, members may not have the benefit of the full complement of expertise a robust vetting process yields. That runs counter to how the committee has historically navigated cyber policy through the legislative process. Over time, the committee has built a strong reputation for working closely with a wide range of stakeholders. We do that to ensure the policy we draft has the impact we intend and that we have the opportunity to understand and address concerns raised. I hope you can commit to returning to a more thorough process in the future, including on efforts to continue moving the CISA 2015 reauthorization through the legislative process. I've made clear on multiple occasions that I believe a clean 10-year extension is the most expeditious path forward and will provide the government's private sector partners the certainty they need to continue partnering with the government. Having said that, getting CISA 2015 across the finish line is up to you, Mr. Chairman, and in a show of good faith to work collaboratively with you on shared priorities and reaffirm my commitment to extending CISA's 2015, I will support the measure before us today. It's my expectations that we will engage a much broader range of stakeholders on this language as the bill progresses, including the ranking members of the other committees of jurisdiction. We must also continue to seek input from experts on privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties to ensure that there are no unintended consequences to the changes proposed by the bill. I will support moving this bill forward in the legislative process today, provided the committee adopts your amendment to the ANS, making certain edits. I will also continue to consult members and stakeholders before making any decisions about supporting the enactment of the legislative provisions before us today. Mr. Chairman, I look forward to continuing to work with you to ensure that CISA 2015 authorities do not lapse. With that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Does anyone else wish to speak on the amendment in this nature substitute?
Mr. Chairman,
Gentleman recognizes the gentleman from Texas.
let me first of all congratulate you on your new position as chairman of the full committee, and thank you for the work you did chairing the Cybersecurity Subcommittee. I've always considered this to be one of the important issues we face as a nation, and I think it's fitting, and I want to thank you for kicking off your first markup with this very bill. Cybersecurity has always been a bipartisan effort. The ranking member and I worked on the 2015 version. I worked with Secretary Jay Johnson to ensure its authorization into law. At the time, I guess Benny recalls, but maybe not too many others weren't around. We had quite a battle between this committee and the House Intelligence Committee because they wanted the role of CISA to be played under the National Security Agency. There were all sorts of privacy issues that came up with that. The Snowden case came out. We thought it was fitting to have a civilian agency as the lead agency for sharing information to the private sector. And I do think the test of time has shown that that was the correct decision. We had to enhance its capabilities, but I do think the CISA of today is far better than the CISA passed in 2015. They had some growing pains, but thanks to the good work of you, sir, and others on this committee, I think its capabilities have been really a very important part of our defense of our homeland and this nation from a cyber threat that is ever growing and ever threatening. And so again, thanks for bringing this measure forward, and I'm glad you started out this markup with this bill.
Gentleman yields back. Does anyone else wish to speak on the amendment of nature substitute? Gentlelady from South Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'll be brief. I appreciate your messaging on the side and being able to talk to me about my concerns. But the one thing I do want to ask is that will you please commit to working with Senator Paul and the Senate to include explicit anti-censorship language to prevent CISA from being used to moderate political speech?
As I explained to the gentlelady, gentlelady yields, or as I explained to the gentlelady, I did speak with the senator last night, and he did discuss a piece of legislation that he has that affects CISA, the agency, and he and I are going to continue to discuss that and work on and work with CISA, especially once Mr. Planky is confirmed as director, to make sure that the agency is focused on what it's supposed to be doing. And we had a very good call, and Senator knows we're marking this bill up today. Again, this is separate from the agency. This is specifically for information sharing. That's why we're changing the name, because there was a big confusion that that we could actually change things in CISA as part of this. It's not germane to this bill, but yes, you have, as I told you on the side, I will be working with the chairman, as I have to on a lot of things in the Senate. We are here for lawmaking exercises. We are not just here to pass bills and have them die in the Senate, and I'm sure the Senate doesn't want to pass bills and have them die here. We're here to make things better. I'm going to work with the ranking member here, and I'm going to work with Senator Paul over in the Senate to make sure that what we pass, we can do it together in these acts, and we can get it on the president's desk for him to sign. So you do have my word on that, Ms. Biggs. I yield. All right. Does the lady yield back? Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak on the amendment of the nature substitute? I now recognize the gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Crane. 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request to enter into the record a report from the Judiciary Committee titled "The Weaponization of CISA: How a Cybersecurity Agency Colluded with Big Tech and Disinformation Partners to Censor Americans." I basically have the exact same concern as Mrs. Biggs, and I just want to go on the record stating that I understand that cybersecurity is very important. I think all of us agree upon that, but I'm very concerned about CISA's past behavior to censor Americans' free speech. And so I just wanted the same commitment from you that you would work with Senator Paul and this committee to make sure that since CISA is staying focused on what they're supposed to be focused on.
Absolutely. Without objection, is entered. And would you like me to respond?
Yep.
Gentleman yields. I will just say, again, everything I just said I will stand by, but I'm really looking forward to working with the new director of CISA as well. I think everybody is going to appreciate having Mr. Planky in there. I definitely think he's the right man to lead that job. And I think he has bipartisan support. I know he did, and I know the previous directors are supportive of him, because I think he's going to be able to lead that agency to focus on the job that it was supposed to be doing, which is protecting critical infrastructure and cybersecurity.
Thank you.
So I yield back, and the gentleman yields back. Does anyone else wish to speak on the amendment of the nature of substitute? Okay, there are no amendments on the roster. It is now in order to consider amendments at the desk.
During a House Homeland Security Committee markup meeting on Wednesday, Representative Andrew Garbarino, Republican, New York, spoke about the future of cybersecurity legislation and the challenges of ensuring bills make it through the Senate. Lawmakers reviewed H.R. 5079, the Widespread Information Management for the Welfare of Infrastructure and Government Act, or WIMWIG. The measure serves as the reauthorization of the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act of 2015, which first established a framework for real-time sharing of cyber threat data between government and private companies. Garbarino noted that the 2015 law strengthened cooperation and privacy protections, but warned that allowing it to lapse could weaken national defense against increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks. The WIMWIG Act updates definitions to account for new threats, encourages the use of secure artificial intelligence, and enhances the flow of actionable information between the public and private sectors. It also extends authorization for another 10 years while preserving privacy protections. Garbarino thanked Representative Michael McCall, Republican Texas, who co-authored the original 2015 legislation, along with staff from the Department of Homeland Security and CISA for supporting the reauthorization. He also recognized over 20 industry stakeholders who have endorsed the bill. Several members raised concerns about the speed of the process, pointing out that lawmakers had only 48 hours to review the bill text before markup. Others insisted that while they support reauthorization, the committee should involve a broader range of experts to prevent unintended consequences. Cybersecurity has historically drawn bipartisan support, and members stressed the importance of keeping CISA as a civilian agency rather than moving its functions under the NSA, which had been debated a decade ago. Still, some Republicans voiced unease about CISA's past interactions with social media companies, arguing that the agency should not play any role in moderating political speech. Garbarino responded that the legislation before them was focused solely on information sharing and promised to work with senators, including Rand Paul, Republican Kentucky, to ensure those concerns are addressed as the bill advances. Garbarino emphasized that the goal is not just to pass bills in the House, but to produce legislation that can clear the Senate and ultimately reach the President's desk. He stressed that the reauthorization of CISA's authorities is central to maintaining trust with the private sector and protecting critical infrastructure from cyber threats.